Fancy designating the phone, the caption read, treating myself because I deserve it. I stared at the photo for a solid minute trying to wrap my head around it. This was the same person who had been crying to Mipperance about being broke and overwhelmed, the same person who trashed her apartment and skipped out on rent in. Now, she was out there treating herself. I forwarded the screenshot to Mipperance with a simple message. This is the person you're defending. My mom called me almost immediately. It's not what it looks like, she said. Her voice shaky. What isn't what it looks like? I asked. She's clearly not struggling. She's out there spending money and living it up while you're bending over backward to make excuses for her. Oh, well, maybe someone else paid for it. She said quickly, you don't know the whole story, so I don't care who paid for it, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And a point is she's not overwhelmed or broke like she keeps claiming. She's just using people, and you're letting her. There was a long pause before my mom spoke again. Oh, you're being too harsh, she said quietly, since she's under so much stress. You don't understand what she's going through. I hung up before I could say something I'd regret. A week later, things got even stranger. Trent, one of Mallory's ex-boyfriends, reached out to him out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in years, but he'd apparently heard about the drama through mutual friend. Hi, ma'am. I don't want to get involved in your family stuff, but I thought you should know something, he said. I sighed. What is it? Mallory did the same thing to me when we were dating, he said. She moved in with me, said she needed help getting on her feet, and then basically used me to pay for everything: rent, groceries, bills, you name it. Meanwhile, she was hiding money from side gigs in a separate bank account. I wasn't shocked. If anything, it just whatever ridiculous stunt they might try next. I truly didn't feel safe anymore, dreading the house could bait again from me, or they might come up with any nonsense idea to get me kicked out of the house legally. I knew damn well they weren't going to stop until they hit a wall they couldn't climb over, so it made it my mission to be that wall. It wasn't going to play their games anymore, and I wasn't going to entertain any more conversations about how I should just hand over my house. And just like I expected, they came up with a new, even more creative idea. I came home from work one evening tired, but relieved to finally be back in my sanctuary, except when I tried to insert my key into the lock, it wouldn't fit at first. I thought I must have grabbed the wrong key, but after a few more tries it hit me. The locks had been changed. My heart sank and a wave of rage surged through me as I noticed a folded piece of paper taped to the door. The note read, "We've changed the locks for safety. Please contact us to discuss this." It was signed by my dad. The audacity was almost laughable. I didn't waste a second. I pulled out my phone and called my dad. He picked up after a few rings, his tone casual. Like this wasn't the most insane thing he'd ever done. What the hell is going on? I said, barely able to keep my voice steady. Why are the locks on my house changed? It's temporary. He said like that somehow made it better. We were trying to help Savannah. You've been so resistant and wet hot. Maybe this would be the easiest way to make things smoother for everyone. For everyone. I snapped. You mean for you and Savannah? You've crossed every line imaginable. This is trespassing, and if you think I'm just going to let this slide, you're insane. His tone shifted immediately, and he started begging. Please don't call the cops. Don't escalate this. It'll look bad for the family. Look bad for the family. You think that's my concern right now? I shot back. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get whoever changed those locks to fix this immediately, or I will call the cops, and I'll press charges for trespassing and attempted theft. There was a pause, and for a moment I thought might actually try to argue with Ma, but he must have realized I wasn't bluffing because his tone softened further. Okay, fine. We'll fix it. Butery being so unreasonable. We're just trying to do what's best for Savannah and the baby, you know. This is a temporary solution. I ignored his attempt to guilt me. You have until the end of the day to fix this, or the police will be involved. That's not negotiable. After some more mutter. First part, she didn't seem to feel a little bad about it. I didn't reach out to her. After that, I couldn't. What was the point? She was perfectly fine pretending she was some struggling victim while I was left to deal with the fallout. Meanwhile, she kept living her carefree life, knowing full well that Mipperance were defending her every move. The thing is, I wasn't even mad at first. I was just hurt. Like, how could me own sister do that to me? I'd been helping her, going out my way to make sure she was okay, and she repaid me by lying to our parents and making me look like the villain. It was such a slap in the face. Then about a week later, my mom called again. This time, she wasn't just upset. She was furious. Mallory's sesh going to be evicted. She said, "How could you let this happen?" I almost laughed. I didn't let anything happen, Mom. I said, "She's an adult. If she can pay her rent, that's on her. She told me you promised to help her until she got a job." Mom snapped. So you just abandoned her when she needed you the most. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Oh, Mom. I said, trying to stay calm, and I helped her for months. I paid her rent, I bought her furniture, I gave her everything she needed to get started. She hasn't even tried to get a job. She's been partying and hanging out with her friends instead of taking responsibility. But my mom wasn't having it. See, she stressed. She said she don't understand how hard it is for her right now. That was the moment I realized there was no reasoning with her, no matter what I sighed, no matter how much proof I had. She wasn't going to believe me. Mallory had gotten her first, and that was all that mattered. It didn't stop there, though. A few days later, my dad called. Your mother's really upset. He said, you need to fix this. Fix what? I asked. I've already done more than enough for Mallory. She needs to take responsibility for herself. You're her brother. He said like that was supposedo. Explain everything. If she needs more time, why can't you just help her out a little longer? Because I'm not her bank account. I snapped. She's 25 years old, Dad. She's not a kid anymore. She needs to grow up. He didn't say much after that, just muttered something about how disappointed he was by. The time the call ended, I was so frustrated I could barely think. Straight at that point, I started avoiding their calls. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. Every conversation just turned into the same argument, and I was tired of defending myself. I figured if they wanted to believe Mallory's sleaze, I was on them. I wasn't going to keep fighting a losing battle, but then a mutual friend reached out to me with something that completely changed the game. Hey, I thought you should know, they said. Mahler's been telling people that you've been supporting her this whole time. I was confused. What do you mean? I asked, and she's been bragging about how you're still paying her rent. They said she even joked about how she doesn't have a job because her brother has it covered. I was furious, not only at Shelley to my parents, but now she was lying to everyone else too, and she was doing it so casually like it was no big deal. That's when I decided I needed to confront her. I called her up and said, Mallory, we need to talk. She didn't sound nervous or guilty. If anything, she sounded annoyed. What now? She said, I know what you've been saying. I too.